Imagine waking up each morning with a fire in your chest, a vision of the person you want to become. Stronger, healthier, more disciplined. You step out of bed with determination, ready to seize the day. Yet somehow, by midday, you find yourself scrolling mindlessly on your phone, snacking on comfort food, or binge-watching shows that leave you feeling empty. You wonder, why does my brain betray me? Why does every good intention feel like a battle you're destined to lose? The answer lies hidden within the labyrinth of your own mind, a blend of neural wiring, ancient instincts, and powerful habits that shape your every move. In this voice that whispers to you now, let me unravel the mystery of why your brain seems to ruin good habits, and, more importantly, how you can turn it into your greatest ally. Your brain, that marvelous organ that gives rise to your dreams and ideas, also harbors deep-seated tendencies that favor familiarity and comfort. Think about it. Millions of years ago, our ancestors survived by sticking to routines, finding food in the same places, sleeping in familiar shelters, trusting known patterns. Those primal circuits still echo in your mind today. When you dream of waking up at dawn to jog, your ancient brain hears danger in that unfamiliar territory and recoils, urging you to retreat to bed. It craves the safety of the well-worn path, snoozing the alarm, grabbing that sugary coffee, lounging in front of the television. It's not personal. It's survival instinct at work. But recognizing that instinct is the first step toward forging a new path. Imagine your brain as a vast forest of pathways. Every time you repeat an action, whether it's brushing your teeth, checking your phone, or reaching for a snack when stressed, you carve a path through that forest. The first few times you walk a new trail, it's rough, tangled, and exhausting to navigate. But if you keep walking, the underbrush clears, the pathway smooths, and before long, you glide along without even thinking. That's neuroplasticity in action. Your brain rewiring itself, favoring efficiency over deliberation. Now, when you try to introduce a healthier routine, like reading for 10 minutes instead of scrolling social media, your brain hesitates. It sees an untouched forest rather than the cleared trail, and resists the effort of forging something new. This resistance is why building lasting change feels so hard. At the heart of this process lies the basal ganglia, a discrete but powerful region deep within your skull. When you first commit to a new habit, like meditating, writing, or running, your prefrontal cortex, the decision maker, kicks into gear. You tell yourself, I will do this, and so you do. Each time forcing your brain to focus and adapt. But as that action repeats, control shifts. The basal ganglia take over, transforming that effortful deed into an automatic routine. Suddenly, you wake up, tie your running shoes, and step outside without a second thought. But therein lies the beguiling danger. If your old habit is stronger, the basal ganglia will reinforce that instead. That's why the path of least resistance often leads you back to old comforts, even when you crave something better. Within this neural playground, cognitive biases swirl like hidden currents under a deceptively calm sea. Confirmation bias nudges you toward evidence that affirms your excuses. I had a tough day. I deserve this donut. Status quo bias keeps you tethered to the familiar, no matter how unhealthy, because it promises emotional safety. Loss aversion makes you fear giving up small pleasures more than you value the long-term benefits of discipline. The moment you resolve to rise early, your brain recalls all the mornings you hit snooze, and it whispers, better to stay in bed, risk nothing. But what if you could learn to recognize these biases, spot the whisper before it becomes a roar, and choose a different voice? That voice could be your ticket out of the rut. Picture now a time when you were under immense stress. A deadline looming, relationships fraying, financial worries mounting. Notice how in those moments, your resolve to eat well, exercise, or sleep early evaporated like mist. Under stress, the limbic system, your emotional command center, hijacks your rational mind. It craves familiar coping strategies, comfort food, procrastination, or numbing distraction. In those moments, your brain tells you that returning to old habits is the safest harbor. Lao Tzu's ancient wisdom echoes in this dynamic. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but when the storm rages inside, that single step can feel like climbing Everest. Recognizing stress's seductive pull can help you plan for these treacherous currents before they sweep you away. And let's not forget the seductive allure of the reward system. When you taste something sweet or finish an episode on Netflix, dopamine floods your brain, lighting up pleasure centers and stitching that behavior deeper into your neural fabric. Meanwhile, the benefits of meditation, exercise, or reading might arrive slowly. More energy, clearer thinking, reduced anxiety over time. They don't blast your brain with instant gratification, so they struggle to compete with the immediate euphoria of a chocolate bar or a mindless scroll. Aristotle's golden mean reminds us to find balance between extremes, but in practice, your brain often leaps toward the high-velocity thrills of instant rewards. Learning to tweak your reward system to find short-term pleasures aligned with long-term goals can turn this tide. As you embark on this journey towards self-mastery, allow the ancient philosophers to guide you. Aristotle declared, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit." He recognized that your identity is sculpted by tiny, repeated decisions, choices you might not even register consciously. Socrates urged, "An unexamined life is not worth living," inviting you to shine the light of awareness on your decisions, feel the undercurrent of habits, and question why you do what you do. Confucius counseled patience. It does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. In the modern blur of social media, instant updates, and relentless comparison, these timeless words anchor you back to the simple truth. Change is a marathon, not a sprint. Science now confirms what these sages observed centuries ago. fMRI scans show the basal ganglia flicker to life as behaviors turn automatic. Studies on cognitive bias reveal how your brain quietly nudges you toward choices that reinforce existing habits. Research on self-control indicates that willpower is like a muscle. It can fatigue, especially when stressed or distracted. That's why focusing solely on sheer willpower often leads to burnout and relapse. Instead, science suggests reshaping your environment, creating cues, and building systems that guide your brain toward healthier paths. When Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events," he spoke to this synergy. You can't control every external stressor, but you can design your inner and outer world to favor the habits you want. So how do you begin? Imagine standing at the base of a mountain, peering up at the summit, shrouded in mist. The peak represents the person you want to be: disciplined, calm, healthy. The climb will be arduous, but you don't leap to the top in a single bound. You take a single step. Start small. If you've never exercised, committing to an hour at the gym tomorrow may feel impossible. Instead, promise yourself just 5 minutes. Yes, 5. Set a timer, lace up your shoes, and walk in place or stretch. The first time you do this, your brain resists. It wants to stay in bed. But when you push through and complete 5 minutes, your brain receives a small dopamine release, enough to say, "Okay, this wasn't so bad." Tomorrow, perhaps you extend to 7 minutes. The next day, 10. Before long, what felt impossible becomes routine. That's the power of incremental change. But starting small isn't enough. You must also create clear cues to trigger those small actions. A cue is a signal, a morning alarm that also triggers your stretching mat to unroll itself. It might be a water bottle on your desk to remind you to hydrate instead of grabbing soda. You might place a book on your pillow, so it's the first thing you see after turning off your phone. Identify the cues that currently trigger unwanted habits, perhaps your phone notification that pulls you into mindless scrolling, and replace them with new, empowering cues. It's no longer you versus your brain. You become a collaborator, steering it with gentle nudges until the new path feels just as automatic as the old rut. Rewards matter deeply. If you go to the gym and suffer through an hour of discomfort with no immediate payoff, your brain asks, why bother? Instead, choose rewards that align with your ultimate vision. After your brief morning stretch, treat yourself to a few minutes of your favorite song playing undisturbed. If you read a chapter instead of scrolling, savor the rising pride that you are investing in your own growth. Gradually, as energy levels rise, focus sharpens, and health improves, those natural rewards, the glow of vitality, the clarity of mind, become intrinsic motivators. You begin to crave the feeling of accomplishment more than the fleeting buzz of a sugary snack. In your quest, mindfulness becomes a trusted ally. It's the practice of noticing your thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations without judgment. When you feel the familiar tug of an old habit, the urge to reach for chips when anxious, you pause. You breathe. You observe the tightness in your chest or the racing of thoughts. Instead of reacting, you allow that sensation to be like a wave. It comes, crests, and eventually ebbs. You don't chase it away with distraction. You simply notice and let it pass. Over time, practicing mindfulness builds your capacity to interrupt automatic responses and choose a different action. A profound shift from being at the mercy of your impulses to becoming the calm observer guiding your train of thought. Building a supportive environment cannot be understated. Your surroundings either fuel your success or feed your failure. If you're trying to eat healthier, remove chips, candy, and sugary drinks from your home. Replace them with fresh fruits, nuts, and water infused with lemon. If you aim to reduce screen time, banish your phone from the bedroom or disable notifications during key focus hours. Surround yourself with people who reflect the habits you wish to adopt. Join a fitness group, find a writing circle, or connect online with a meditation community. When you see others striving and succeeding, you feel a surge of inspiration and accountability. You're not alone in the forest anymore. You're part of a caravan heading toward the summit. Yet even with all these strategies, you will stumble. You might skip your morning meditation, binge on junk food after a rough day, or let your phone suck away hours of precious time. When that happens, remind yourself of Confucius's words. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. A setback isn't a verdict on your character. It's a lesson, a chance to analyze what triggered the stumble and refine your approach. Did stress overwhelm you? Did you lack a clear cue? Did you forget to plan a reward? Each slip is a clue pointing toward improvement. If you dwell in self-blame, you remain stuck. If you launch into curiosity and compassion, you gather data for growth. One potent technique is habit stacking, linking a new, desired habit to an existing one. Suppose each morning you brush your teeth automatically. That brushing can become the cliff from which your new habit leaps. Immediately after spitting into the sink, you sit on the bathroom floor and spend 2 minutes journaling. Suddenly, journaling doesn't require extra mental chess. It attaches itself to a rock-solid foundation. Habit stacking offers leverage. You use the momentum of the old to propel the new. Before you know it, the tiny journal session blossoms into a reflection practice you cherish, because it's joined with something you already do effortlessly. But life throws curveballs. work demands, family crises, unexpected travel. To stay resilient, you must plan for obstacles. Write down what might tempt you to abandon your new habit. Perhaps it's a late-night work emergency that leaves you too exhausted to exercise. In that case, plan a backup, 10 minutes of light stretching before bed. Or maybe social pressure at gatherings makes you reach for drinks you swore off. Visualize those moments and rehearse a response. No thanks, I'm sticking to water tonight. Delivered with confidence. By anticipating challenges, you hold a map that guides you back on track, rather than being lost in the forest when storms come. Celebrating small wins fuels your momentum. After 5 consecutive days of waking up and stretching, treat yourself to a small symbol, a new bookmark for your journal, or a fragrant candle for your desk. When you resist scrolling and read a chapter every night, savor the satisfaction that you're enriching your mind. Keep a gratitude journal. Each evening, jot down one thing you did that aligned with your new habit, and one thing you're thankful for. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what you've gained, reinforcing positivity and making hard efforts feel meaningful. Over time, these micro-celebrations accumulate, forging a life where positive habits outshine the old, unwanted routines. To kickstart your transformation, imagine a 30-day plan, a scaffolding to lift you from where you are to where you wish to be. In week 1, shed light on the habit you're changing. Identify its cue. Perhaps you scroll when you wake because your phone is on your nightstand. Now, choose a new cue, a journal beside your bed, longing to cradle your morning thoughts. Journal the habit loop. Cue, routine, reward, so you see it on paper, bright as day. In days 4 to 7, perform your tiny new routine. 5 minutes of reading, stretching, or meditation, always triggered by that cue. Let the satisfaction of completion be your reward. In week 2, optimize your environment. Clear distractions from your workspace, remove junk food from sight, and create a dedicated nook for your new habit. Then link that new action to an existing routine. If you brush your teeth nightly, follow it with 2 minutes of journaling. If you make coffee each morning, do a brief visualization exercise while the kettle boils. Each time you complete the chain, cue, routine, reward, you strengthen the new neural pathway, edging it closer to automatic. Week 3 demands introspection. Review your journal and note when you faltered. Did stress hijack your plan? Did you fail to set a cue? Maybe the reward wasn't motivating enough. Adjust accordingly. Change your cue to something more salient, or tweak your reward to feel more immediate. Practice mindfulness when tension rises. Catch that urge to revert and gently redirect to your new routine. Write down your observations, not as judgment, but as insights guiding you forward. By week 4, you're ready to build on the foundation. Increase the length or intensity of your habit slightly. If you've been meditating 5 minutes, try 7 or 10. If you've jogged for 10 minutes, stretch to 15. But only if you feel comfortable. Avoid pushing so hard that you risk injury or burnout. Seek support. Share your journey with a friend, partner, or online community. Each voice of encouragement becomes fuel for your resolve. As the days wind down, reflect on the progress you've made. How your mornings feel different, how cravings have shifted, how energy and clarity have quietly risen. When day 30 arrives, celebrate openly. Recognize that a month of deliberate change has etched a new groove in your neural forest. Though life will continue to throw challenges, you now possess the map and tools to navigate them. But don't stop here. Habit change is a lifelong voyage. As your life evolves, your habits may need tweaking. Maybe you once meditated 10 minutes in the morning, but now you prefer a midday pause. Adaptability is your compass. Check in monthly. What's working? What isn't? Where do old patterns still lurk? Refining strategies keeps your progress fresh and sustainable. Now, let's delve into advanced strategies for deepening this transformation. Cognitive restructuring invites you to become the detective of your own thoughts. When you catch yourself thinking, "I'm terrible at sticking with anything," pause. Examine the evidence. Recall occasions when you succeeded, even in small ways. Write those down. Replace the negative thought with, "I've overcome challenges before. I can do it again." Over time, these new thoughts become the default soundtrack, nudging you toward persistence. This shift in mindset rewires more than neural pathways. It reconstructs your whole narrative about who you are and what you can achieve. Accountability is another potent force. Human beings are social creatures. We crave connection, validation, and approval. Find an accountability partner, a friend, a family member, a coach who checks in regularly. Report your small wins, confess your slip-ups, and receive encouragement or gentle accountability in return. Or join a group, online or in person, where everyone shares the same goal: quitting sugar, running a 5K, writing a book. When you know your partner is rooting for you, and perhaps gently disappointed when you falter, your motivation accelerates. You transform the solitary climb into a communal ascent, sharing the burdens of stress and celebrating each new height together. Next, understand the mindful use of technology. Apps can be both ally and foe. Use habit tracking apps to record each time you complete your new routine. Watch the chain of green check marks build, each one a tiny affirmation that you're on the path. Set gentle reminders that nudge you toward action at the perfect moment. But also wield technology like a sword, cutting off its distracting edges. Silence notifications that pull you off course. Set screen time limits, and designate tech-free hours. The goal isn't to demonize your devices, but to train them to serve your higher self rather than your impulses. When you strike that balance, your phone becomes a tool for growth, not a rope dragging you into old habits. Continuous self-reflection and adaptation are critical to long-term success. Life is dynamic. Relationships shift. Jobs change. Unforeseen challenges arise. A strategy that worked in January may falter by June. Schedule monthly check-ins. Sit down with your journal and ask, which habits are still serving me? Which have lost their meaning? Where am I slipping? Let your answers guide adjustments. Maybe you once meditated with an app that now feels stale. Switch to silent breathing or join a guided group session. By keeping your approach flexible and responsive, you avoid stagnation and remain aligned with your evolving goals. As you integrate these advanced strategies, remember that every moment offers a chance for choice. When your brain screams, "Give up, it's too hard," draw on the lessons of Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you react. That grocery store moment when you see your old favorite candy. Pause. Breathe. Picture the feeling you'll have if you yield. A momentary rush, followed by regret. Then, visualize the pride you'll feel when you resist and choose a healthier snack instead. In that pause, your rational mind speaks louder than the ancient impulses lodged in your basal ganglia. You become the sculptor, not the clay. Over time, your brain's celebration of familiarity will shift. The forest of old pathways begins to sprout new trails, roots that lead to vitality, purpose, and fulfillment. Soon, reaching for a book instead of your phone will feel second nature. Choosing salad over fries will taste like victory rather than sacrifice. Rising early to meditate will feel as effortless as brushing your teeth. These new habits, once monumental feats, become the default because you invested the effort, day after day, step by step. But perhaps the most crucial shift occurs deep within your identity. When you persist through setbacks and celebrate small wins, you begin to say to yourself, "I am the kind of person who follows through. I am someone who values health, growth, and integrity." As Aristotle foretold, you become your habits, so choose them wisely. These words are not just decoration on a page. They are the loom upon which you weave your life. By aligning your daily actions with the person you wish to be, you embed that identity so deeply that any deviation feels unnatural, even painful. That is the ultimate triumph over the part of your brain that once sabotaged you. A transformation so radical that going back is unthinkable. Now, as our time together reaches its close, picture the horizon stretching before you. A life where good habits no longer feel like uphill battles, but flow like rivers, carving new canyons. Your mornings are no longer marked by excuses or dread, but by anticipation and purpose. Your evenings are not consumed by guilt or regret, but by reflection and pride. You've harnessed the very mechanisms that once worked against you. Neural pathways, rewards, cues, mindfulness, to become a collaborator with your brain rather than its hostage. The flame of your dream now burns brighter, nurtured by each small step, each mindful choice, each moment of resilience. So go ahead. Tomorrow morning, set your intention. Place your book on your pillow. Tell yourself, I will read for 5 minutes when I wake. Feel that spark of excitement, that sliver of doubt, and let it both fuel you. Remember the ancient wisdom of Confucius. It does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. Walk forward into the forest of your mind, machete in hand, ready to clear new paths. Each step you take, you affirm your power over your impulses and your destiny. This is your journey, steeped in science and ancient wisdom, anchored by strategies both simple and profound. And as you climb, remember, the summit isn't the end. It's a new beginning. A lifetime of growth awaits, and you've already taken the first step. The rest is yours to write.